I'm going to demonstrate what happens if you don't have a computer screen in the right place. And I know this from bad experience. I had a beautiful laptop, a MacBook Air, and it would only go back so far. It wouldn't flatten out like this, which I understand why. That wouldn't be. It didn't make sense to the people that made it. But already, since my head was forward on the spine, and if your eyes are not perpendicular to a screen that they're looking at, you will go like this to get them perpendicular, because the eyeball has more to say about what you're doing when you're trying to read. We came out here so we wouldn't have to listen to dog barking next door. Well, that dog has a lower bark than the one next door. The one next door is an F sharp, and it's just a little bit off key, and barked 700 times in an hour yesterday. That was the hour that I counted. All day long the dog barked, and started again this morning. So that's a whole nother story that I will go into, but since I started it right now, we'll discuss it. I'm going to check, because when I went to get my ears tested, they were not normal, except for one little peak in the middle that looks like it was right at where the F sharp area would be. So evidently my body has become allergic to that sound, which I've had for 4 years now. And I read in the AARP magazine that the number of decibels of noise that a person has to put up with is the number of percentage that you have a higher likelihood of stroke. So if you're in a place that has 10 decibels of noise regularly, you're 10% more likely to get a stroke, or 20, or whatever. I haven't been able to measure it, but I am sure that he's about 50 decibels of sound to my ears, because of my reaction of 4 years of cringing every time I hear. Oh, back to the computer. So if you have a console, you can put it up, well, on books is what I did for people when I was setting them up in their offices to not have neck and eye trouble. And you could do the same with a laptop, except then their hands are up like this, and that doesn't work too well either. A little problem that hasn't been worked out by me, but maybe other people have figured out a way to do it. Let's see. No, it's just one of the solutions that has not yet been made. Back to the posture that you will end up with, which I already have a propensity for because of previous injuries. If the sternohyoid muscles, this is sternocleidomastoid, that's the one that brings you this way, but sternohyoid comes down and hits one of the ribs at the top here, and it makes the dowager's hum, which is what I have in the back. The 7th cervical right there sticks out. Now you think it looks pretty bad on me now, but it used to look a lot worse. So the muscles that I work on when I think about it are very deep in here, that make that 7th cervical buckle out. So it feels weird to press in so far, which is probably why I don't do it very often. Don't worry about the carotid artery. It will, or the jugular vein. The artery is the one that you would worry about, or that people say to worry about. It slides away. Now, I don't think I've discussed this, but if somebody is choked and it's deep enough and it happens on both sides, the muscles that just come down the front of the spine will stay tight, and the throat feels like they need to be massaged, and so people eat more because it feels good to swallow, not because they're hungry, but just because it feels good to have something sliding down past those muscles that want to be massaged. My property manager was sitting beside me not long ago, trying to tell me what the things needed to be done for the rentals that she's taking care for me. And I'm staring at her, and she said, "Pay attention, what are you doing?" I said, I can hardly stand it. I want to put my hands on your neck because your neck, the curve is the wrong way. Well, now, she didn't have this kind of a bump. She just didn't have any curve here at all. Mine's pretty straight, but hers went, instead of curving in, it was like this. She said, "Well, you can pick around at me afterwards," which I did. And I went in deep, and I found these places that she said, "Whew, that's," what did she call it? Something. Anyway, it was astonishing. Intense, really intense. But she said, "Don't stop," so I did it. I knew what I was doing because I've done it on patients before. Now, she's an adorable woman, but she's overweight. I loosened them up, showed her how, and about 3 weeks later, I called her for something else, and she said, "I lost 20 pounds without even trying." I said, "Well, oh, I'm amazed. You must have tried." She said, "No, what you did released me, and I have a whole different relationship with food." And I said, "Were you ever choked?" And she said, "Yeah, a cousin of mine choked me, playing around, but really scared me once." And that was it. Well, that was all very well and good, except she used to be a real workaholic. And now I keep seeing her on Facebook having fun. I think she's taking care of my property, but I don't know when. Okay. When you're as old as I am, you get to have a wonderful second childhood. Fingernail polish for 5-year-old girls and sitting on the slide. I have asthma. I don't notice it very often. Sometimes when I'm going to sleep, I hear myself breathing and it sounds like a kitty cat meowing.